Han mistet foreldrene sine til alkohol og narkotika. Livet så også ut til å ta feil vending for Ryan Blair fra Los Angeles i USA, men skjebnen den ville noe annet. Allerede som tenåring tjente han sine første millioner. Jeg møtte Ryan, som nå er kåret til en av de mest suksessfulle IT-entreprenørene under 40 år i USA, og nå deler han sine ideer med resten av verden.
Whether you're 18, 80, or anything in between, if you have a good idea and make smart decisions, you can make millions, and you can do it fast. The proof is all around us in the young and the rich. Tonight, we'll show you what they're doing and doing fast to make those millions so you can do it too. Take Ryan Blair. He's founded 6 successful companies, and he's only 30 years old. He's going to show you how to stop overthinking and start making millions fast.
Welcome, Ryan Blair.
Thank you.
You had a challenge. You could have ended up abusing and using drugs and alcohol, but you turned your life into a huge success. You have to tell us about your early years with your family.
You know, so my family was a product of addiction. And I just got lucky that I was able to form an addiction toward business and toward entrepreneurship, as opposed to one toward something that was bad, for example, drugs or alcohol. I got addicted to success and to entrepreneurship.
But your family, how did that affect your way of thinking?
You know, I guess for now I look back at it as a positive. It wasn't very positive when I was a youth when it was happening to me. But the number one thing I can say is that in looking back at the challenges that I had to overcome, I look at those as having built character, having built survival techniques, having built instincts and business savvy and street smarts kind of mixed together. So as a result, I wouldn't take it back for the world. But at the time, you know, I definitely had my own challenges.
But survival techniques as a youth?
Yeah. Well, you know, and the other thing is when I started my businesses as an entrepreneur, I had no fear because the worst that could happen to me was far less than what had happened to me. So I didn't have any worry of going back to where I came from because I'd already come so far.
But then, when you got older, you got these entrepreneur skills.
Yeah.
But how did your childhood, how did that make you an entrepreneur?
Well, you know, it's interesting because growing up where I did, there was entrepreneurs all around me. You know, we used to watch them on the street corners, and these people were entrepreneurs. They had entrepreneurial skills, they just never had the right guidance and how to structure those skills. So, you know, being in a situation where I had no choice but to survive, and I realized that entrepreneurship was a vehicle for me to get out of the problems that I was in. So that's pretty much was a real simple decision for me. I didn't have a formal education. I hadn't graduated from high school. I didn't have much hope for the future in terms of academics, so I had to start my own company.
But your friends,
yeah,
were they in the same position?
No. It's a good question. I had to remove all of my friends from where I grew up. I had to start over my environment pretty much from the ground up and surround myself with people who were similarly fashioned, who were interested in entrepreneurship, who were positive influences on my life as opposed to negative influences.
All this success, did you do this by yourself, or did you have people around you that made it for you?
It's a great question. So, you know, I started raising venture capital. Tomorrow I speak at an event that's tailored to venture capitalists, and my whole idea is to explain to them truly what the entrepreneur needs, what type of support, what type of services, what type of mentorship. But if it were not for the venture capitalists, the board members, the management team members, the employees that I've been able to attract in my life, I would not be nearly the success that I have enjoyed today.
You mentioned mentors.
Yeah.
Who was your mentor when you were young?
Well, you know, I've had so many. There's probably been 15 or 20 people that have come in and out of my life that have given me advice. Some people don't even realize that they were a mentor to me because I'm a student, and one of my belief systems is you always should be a student. So I receive mentorship to this day from great books, from, you know, I recently got to spend time with a legendary American coach named John Wooden, and I remember sitting there in awe as I was learning, you know, great rules of leadership and great ways to overcome obstacles, even to this day. So I've had a number of them, but the most important mentor, I would say, was my very first, and it was a man that my mother introduced me to when I was 18 years old. And he was the first very successful person to have belief that I could too be successful.
What did he tell you?
He just told me that I could achieve whatever I wanted to. He told me that my beliefs around the subject of money and around just my own self-confidence were limiting me. And when he gave me a reference and said I could be successful and that I had talent that was hidden, so to speak, And I referenced his beliefs of me versus the beliefs of other teachers, family members, and people that never thought I could amount to anything. I chose him over them, and I chose to listen to him as opposed to the people that, weren't rooting for me.
At the age of 21, you established several companies. You became a millionaire?
Yeah, I was first a millionaire at 25. But, I first woke up, I remember signing a document to sell my company, and I knew I was worth $1 million. But I measure people's worth by their future capacity, not by their present capacity. Yes, I have a lot of success, and I've amassed several $1 million, and I've been so privileged and blessed. But to me, it's more about the creation. It's about being able to create companies that make change, that make things more efficient, that provide value to people.
Did you even dream about this when you were young?
No, never. When I was young, I saw myself, I remember when I was a kid, I was in what's called a continuation high school in America, which is for the bad kids, the dropouts. And I was sitting there in school, and they sent in these youth counselors to speak to us. And I remember sitting there saying, maybe one day I'll be on that stage telling my story and speaking of the successes that I've achieved. And it was a faint moment that I remember, but I never dreamed that I'd be in the position that I am in life today.
Your companies, internet companies like Pathfinder.com and a ski site?
Yeah, so I launched a number of social-related communities. One that I'm very excited about launches next week in Las Vegas, in fact, and that's called ViNet, which stands for LifeNet. I launched last year a beta site with Bodie Miller called Ski Space.
I will show it here.
And this site, it relaunches this year with a brand new look and feel, brand new features. And we're very passionate about the skiing community because it's such a special sport to so many people, and it's spread across the globe. So the internet is the true way to bring it globally. And then the health network that we launched through Visalis Sciences, we're very passionate about that. We believe that'll be one of the most successful ventures we've ever created.
Today, the world faces a huge financial crisis. What do you think will help and get the world back on its feet?
I'm not an economist, so I have to give a disclaimer, but I will tell you it was greed that got us into the situation, and it'll be profit motive that gets us out of the situation. So I look at the assets, I look at real estate, I look at opportunity in Norway, I look at opportunity in all of Europe, and and I say to myself, in the position now where I'm on the fence, I can start buying, bit by bit, I can start buying at this place, at this present time. So that the assets are undervalued. There's massive opportunity out there if you see it. Now, a lot of people will choose not to see it, or they'll choose to be in fear. To me, the secret of success is going against the grain. When things are in recession, you push forward. When everyone's buying and everyone's, when everyone's making money, you pull out. And that's the way that the great American entrepreneurs made their great fortunes, like Rockefeller in the Depression, or Hewlett-Packard in the Depression, or even J.P. Morgan in the 1932 stock market crash. He walked into the crash and said, "I'm a buyer," and that was a rare thing at the time. So I think that you'll see some emerging billionaires on a global basis that take advantage of this opportunity. So it was greed that got us into this mess, and it'll likely be greed that gets us out of the mess.
But do you think the American market needs more federal control?
I do. And I think that any time you see, my thesis in all of business is that compensation drives behavior. So if you look at anything failing, whether it be a bank or mortgage banks or the real estate crisis or the credit crisis, somebody was getting paid to create that crisis. Somebody somewhere was getting paid for it. Now, if you paid someone not to do that and you paid them well, they would figure out and they would send the world's greatest experts to figure out how to stabilize it, and that's what we're doing now. So if you look at the $700 billion bailout, there'll be a lot of people that'll be paid to ensure that this never happens again. So if you want to find the root to an error or the root to a success, look toward its compensation.
But to become someone like you, to have great ideas, to make millions, do you have a formula?
Be a student. So I'm a student. I mean, walking down the streets in Norway and learning this culture for the very first time, being exposed to the traditions, to me, I see that as an opportunity. So be a student and be, one of the secrets to successful people that I found is that they're optimized positively. So they're always thinking positively, even in the face of despair and even in the face of some of the tragedies people are going through. They're looking for the positive in it, and that's what I do. I look for the positive.
Ryan Blair, thanks for coming.
Thank you. I appreciate it.